All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue. I'm your host, Brett. I have Matt here. Still holding strong on the not drinking. I have Tanner the Head here. Chris is gone. He had things to do better than us, apparently.
Apparently.
We're going to talk a little bit about different training modalities or different training to use.
You wanted to use that word again.
Yeah.
You felt really smart a few
it's like
seconds
triple
ago.
word score.
That's a big word.
Just because you train for powerlifting doesn't mean you shouldn't maybe do like a little kind of bodybuilding 12-week run or vice versa. I also think strongman. I think Thor kind of proved that when he did a powerlifting cycle and did a couple meets, his overall strength went up tremendously because it's all about absolute strength, obviously, and athleticism and strongman. But yeah, I think a lot of people just want to do powerlifting, and you can see it in the lack of accessories that people want to do, because that's your more bodybuilding style. Your higher reps, your 8s, 10s, 12s, whatever. 30s, yeah. Right. But contrary to not popular belief, actually just like fat, lazy people, but doing a bodybuilding rotation is going to be tremendously good for your GPP. And if you don't know what that is, like I think a lot of people just hear it and don't know, it's general physical preparedness, or they have, like your SPP where it's, specific physical preparedness. And that would be more for like, if you played a sport or you were, I don't know, if you're a
powerlifter or doing whatever.
Specific to it, or even like a regular job if you're an active like firefighter. So you know what I mean? Like you're out running in buildings, tons of calls, shit like that. Like you need very specific things you're doing. At least that's what I think. Like, what are you guys kind of thoughts on it?
Yeah, I 100%. I think that there's looking at the kind of like a bodybuilding style and a powerlifting. I think when people look at powerlifting training, they look at their accessories in general. I think people tend to limit themselves on the rep ranges that they do for their accessories. So like, oh, it's powerlifting, I can't go above like 8s, maybe 12s. And that has a purpose, right? You can stay in that strength range. Once you get it's over 10 or 12, you start to get into the hypertrophy range and stuff. And so you get in there, but like you should be mixing some of that stuff in there. If for no other reason, like you do some of that hypertrophic range training where you're in like those, call it 10 to 25s, it can be a safer range to train at because you don't have to use as much weight, right? If you have much better muscle contraction through a full range of motion at a lighter weight, it's generally less wear and tear on your body, but you still have a lot of time under load. And you can do a lot of like good muscular damage in that full range of motion when you're in that fully stretched position under load. And then you have to come out of it because that's where you're going to be the weakest. And then you come out of that and you get to a full contraction and you have that slow eccentric stretch back. Like you can get a lot of work in safely. Whereas if you're trying to do just max efforts, 8 to 12s, and you have nothing left in the tank after your 10th rep, like that puts you at risk for not only during that training cycle, but then when you go to do, the next time deadlifts come around and you're trying to do a full deadlift, like your deadlift workout, but you just fucking smoked every single muscle fiber you had before, the chances of you being recovered are pretty low when it comes back around to that.
Yeah, I also think that doing a bodybuilding, like working on hypertrophy and doing things like that, gives your body time to strengthen tendons, connective tissues, maybe like recover a little bit without having that top end load on all the time. And honestly, I think we all kind of do what we like to do.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we get in the mode of we want to powerlift, we want to bench, we want to press, we want to do whatever we're doing. And we don't want to take, like if we take 10 weeks off, then it's all going to go away. We're going to lose all of our progress. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like we're going to start over again. We do all these things in our head when it's like actually, taking some time off and even doing some like athletic training. Like I tried to incorporate being a little bit more athletic in like my warm-ups and stuff, just because I feel like I was losing it just by lifting heavy all the time.
Yeah, that the losing it brings up a really great point. Just watching one of the podcasts with Mike Israetel and I think he was a British fella. But anyways, this guy had done studies. They were studying to try to see like what is the lowest amount of work you can put in while still achieving muscular growth, right? So they were trying to see like how little work could you do and still grow, right? And they weren't working with just like folks off the street. Like it was a somewhat smaller sample size, but they were working with trained athletes.
Okay.
And it was pretty low, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 4 to 6 sets a week. You could still achieve muscular growth. Now, is it optimal? No. Like, could you do more and grow more? Yeah, 100%. But of these group studies for, I think, 8 to 12 weeks, 4 to 6 sets, you could still see growth. So 4 to 6 sets of just chest work. So that could be a couple bench, a couple flies, a couple inclines, and like you're good. That's your work for the week.
I just love the premise of the study. Like, how
Yeah.
lazy can we be?
Minimal.
It's kind of like when you're loading weights here at the gym. Like, you're like loading and unloading weights. You're like, this is so fucking dumb. But lifting them's fine.
Yeah.
Right. But we want to be
Everything
as
should be
lazy
weight
as like
stacked.
lazy as possible. Like, I have a yoke, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna carry it back over to the weight stack, so I don't have very far to travel when I'm putting these away. Like, carrying it's not
Yeah.
a problem, but God forbid I have to like reach down and pick a plate
Yeah.
up off the ground.
Hey, work
Yeah.
smarter, not harder.
And so the study extended to not only like what's the minimum amount of work I can do to grow, but what's the minimum amount I need to put in order to not lose.
Oh, okay.
And so as they extended into that, and again, now these were trained individuals with a significantly higher than average muscle mass, lean muscle mass, not very fat. And it was 1 to 2 sets a week.
How long did that study run for?
That was, I think both of them were somewhere between 8 to 12 weeks. There was a number of them that he kind of talked about.
I would love to see that study play out for like a year and see if you just have so much trained muscle
Yeah.
that's just like, at what point in time does it start like untraining?
Right. Do
You
you
know what
start?
I mean?
Do you start to go backwards a little bit?
Yeah. Like after if you did this for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, and you're only doing 4 to 6 sets a week.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think, and
Yeah.
this is making a pretty big assumption on their results. But if we look at that and say, I have X pounds of muscle, and I've been doing powerlifting specific training for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, right? And I do a 16-week bodybuilding cycle. Like, am I going to lose my muscle?
no.
No. Now, are you going to feel that you're weaker maybe at the end when you go back into your powerlifting training? Maybe, right? But that's likely a CNS thing. Like you're just mentally not used to and not ready for doing that. But after a couple of weeks, your body's like, oh shit, I remember this. I've been here, and you'll be fine. So the thought of, oh my God, like I have to keep doing this. I have to keep doing these really heavy weights and these really like intense low rep workouts to keep my strength and keep my muscle. No,
That's kind of with like Simple Strength too. Like, you did a really good job of accessories in Simple Strength, and your accessory rep range is on the higher end.
Yeah.
And then also you had your off-season training, which was
it's really hard. All those supersets fucking blow.
yeah. But I think for me, and this is just me personally, and like I feel like if I just like quit doing something, and even if like I just don't trust the fact that something else will catch it. Like, if I just stop benching and I do all these other things to work on my bench that are accessory wise, like I just have a trust issue with that it's actually going to work.
What do you mean by stop?
Well,
Like, let's just say I just quit flat benching and I worked on a bunch of other things that are supposed to help my bench, or just to take some wear and tear off just doing the whole bench. So I'm doing accessories, I'm doing dumbbell work, I'm doing, incline, decline, whatever. But I'm just not flat benching. It scares me a little bit, like not to, like I would be like 4 weeks in, be like, okay, I'm gonna lay on this bench and make sure that I'm within range of where I was at.
I can say from a sample size of 1, being myself, that I pretty much went at least 9 months without really touching. Like, I might come in and do like a little pump sesh of just like, oh, I'm gonna do a little bit here, a little bit there, and like go on. When I was doing jiu-jitsu, and then I came in, and old Mike got cocky because I think he almost hit 3 plates. He missed 365, or he didn't do something.
He missed like didn't he get 325 and missed 335 or
something like that? Yeah. And so then,
Yeah, let's not try to give Mike any credit for being stronger than he
the
is.
next week he came around and he was like, hey, I'm working up to a heavy single. Do you want to come in and train? And I was like, sure. So I came in the morning, trained with him, and he got up to, I don't know, 3 something. And then I got up to, I hit a 405. And I was probably a 440-ish bencher before. And so I hit 405. No, it was tough. It
was a grinder.
It was tough, but I got through it. And so, and like, then that's 9 months of effectively no real training.
And like
pump sessions.
maybe
here and there.
10%.
Yeah.
Lost 10%.
Yeah. And lost 10%. And I think that 10% in my mind is largely because like I just wasn't used to it.
Right.
And stuff. So, had I been doing other stuff, like other weight training during that time, would I have gone down 10%? Probably not. Would I have gone down a little bit? Maybe.
Well, you probably see this with training people, that people want to work on something and you take them in a direction, maybe not like a straight line, but kind of like coming around the side.
I mean, really, it's kind of what the whole idea of West Side or the conjugate system really was. Because Louis didn't ever want, which, I mean, and even though he didn't like invent this idea of conjugate. I mean, it's been around. But you're training every different form of strength.
Right.
That was the idea. So you have your max effort for your absolute strength, and then you have your speed work to keep obviously your speed.
Your speed strength.
You have
right?
your strength, speed,
Yeah.
and your speed strength, and then they also had their repetition days where they did more. You know, if you weren't feeling it coming in, you would maybe do like a rep effort day. But you have to in rotating things around. But like when you're talking about not benching, you're still doing what are like basically supplementals, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not accessories. And there's
Yeah.
a difference between a supplemental exercise and an accessory exercise. Right, like a supplemental is going to mimic the main exercise the most, and then your accessories are going to bring up your
Weaknesses.
accessories. Your, on a bench, if you dumbbell bench afterwards, that's like a supplemental, and then your tricep extensions or your side raises or whatever are going to be an accessory to it. But if you're rotating around and you're still doing like your dumbbell benches, I think you can get just as strong, if not stronger. And that's like, I mean, that was Westside's whole thing, is they trained with a different bar every week, but their main
For their max, right?
yeah, for their max effort, but then their barbell squat would still go up.
Well, that was just like the other day you and I were just talking, and I was talking about I'm a narrow grip presser, and I was going to do wide grip stuff as accessories. Like just like people who are wide grip, they do narrow grip stuff. You're like, oh, you should do behind your neck. Went behind my neck. I was like, I haven't been behind my neck in a press for freaking, I don't even know how long. It's like, that was stupid. Like I already felt like, oh, I let the whole backside of my press go away. Like
Yeah.
if there's a front side and a back side of pressing, my whole backside of pressing.
Yeah, just not there.
Well, and it may be there, and maybe I just have to wake it back up. I have no idea. But the other day, I was like, well, fuck.
And that muscle memory, and that'll come back around fairly quick. But I think, and like you said, people like to do what they're good at. But, like if you're a really good close grip presser and you're a really bad wide grip presser, imagine if you kept your close grip where it's at, but you brought your wide higher.
Then your close should go up.
Yeah, there's no way you're not going to.
Not going to get
I
strong.
mean, like Ed talks about like a suit of armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have like a little chink in the armor, you just fix that one thing. You know what I mean? And like Ed would talk about, in off season, he would high bar squat, like high bar close stance, and he would do that for a training cycle, but then his wide stance still went up.
Yeah.
But I think it's like years ago, there was that saying, I think it was Louis, that's like, you're not going to get better at benching just by benching.
Right.
And you will in the beginning. You can,
Right.
some fucking dummy can argue that all they want to. Oh yeah, you will. You will.
You will.
will get good at benching by benching
Beginner gains.
for a little while.
God, we love beginner gains. I wish beginner gains were just like
Dude.
all the time.
And we've all seen it. I've taken somebody and just
Be so strong.
they'll lay down and bench. Like if I take a new lifter, they want to do a meet. I'm like, all right, they want to help with technique. All right, you just lay down and you bench how you're going to bench or squat, whatever you're going to do. Okay, do a few reps. Okay, how's that? Well, okay, that was awful. So we'll change this, and this, and then all of a sudden, just from changing 3 or 4 things, you can add 5 or 10 pounds to their bench.
Right. I mean, we saw that in those clinics we were doing for like the high school teams and stuff. And
Yeah.
like, in the same day, you would work with folks, and we just talk to them for, an hour and a half or so on bench and stuff, and kind of work through stuff, and we'd know what kind of their lifts were, and then we had everyone just go until they could either hit a PR or like a good rev. And so many people just PR'd on that.
Yeah, those are fun. We haven't done one for a while.
Those are really fun.
We did some high school clinics with some football teams.
That was cool.
Taught them how to lift weights. But yeah, learning how those beginner gains, getting your technique dialed in. You know, but if you've just been like, you know, that old joke, you know, that you're the strongest guy at the Y. But if you just been flat back
or
benching,
Planet Fitness,
yeah,
for Matt.
if you just been flat back benching, you know, you might still run out of beginner gains, but then once somebody changes your technique to get it right, then also the beginner gains kind of start over a little bit again. But if you've been in it for a while and you're fairly efficient, like I feel like myself and all the guys I've trained with are pretty technique efficient. So now you're just kind of having to bring it up any way you can.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of how long you've been doing it, you just constantly have to change it up, or you're just going to be stuck.
Yeah, you're not. I was talking to Benika the other day because she was talking about she just did a meet like 2 weeks ago, and she didn't really just had fun, just didn't really get to train a lot, and her numbers were pretty good still. And she was like, I think I need to train less. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing too, is I think everybody needs to be in the gym like 10 days, 10 days out of a 7-day week. You need to be at the gym.
Well, it's so hard. Just like when you're trying to get better at something, when you're trying to achieve your weight loss goal or muscle gain goal, or you're just trying to bench more, deadlift more, it's so freaking hard. It's way easy just to do more. That's my head. That's been my mindset forever. Like someone was out there was like, well, you're just going to smash your head against the wall over and over again. I said, yeah, until the fucking wall falls. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to end up finessing my way through anything in life. Either I can knock it over or it fucking knocks me over. That's how I go about it. And I think it's really hard to be like, oh, you know what? You'd be better off 4 days a week. I'm like, well, I'm going to do fucking 8 then. Because the 4 is good, 8 has to be better.
Right.
And yes, I do realize I said 8 days a week. It was a joke.
I said 10, so it's fine.
Oh, perfect.
But I told her, I said I think you'll be fine that way. I said I only squat every 3 weeks. I deadlift 1 week, I get morning 1 week, and then I squat. And I said I have not noticed any drop off of any of those lifts. Because first of all, those lifts all emulate each other to an extent. There's so much carryover between. Yeah. But even with like on an upper body, like I rotate overhead press 1 week, incline press 1 week, and a flat bench somehow every week. And just rotate them around.
You do one of those each week. See, I do all 3 of them every week.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you're so strong.
But, you know, and I was talking to some other guys because we were talking about training and how many exercises they're doing. And, you know, they maybe come 3 or 4 days a week. And I'm like, usually most of them are like 3. I said, I only do like 3 exercises a day, maybe 4. But I train like almost 5 days a week, basically, because I'm here every day.
Right. Like if you could come in 6 days a week.
You don't have to do. People look at it, they're like, you're done working out because I mean, we fuck around. But I can be done in like 15 minutes. Like the other day I was here at town that I usually train with. And so I just I did a quick shoulder workout. I walked in and did like 10 side raises, 10 front raises, and then like 20 rear delt flies. And I did like 4 sets of that real quick and I was done. Mm-hmm. But most people are like, that's all you're going to do? Okay, I'm here 5 days. In your 3 days, you probably do, like on your upper body day, you probably do your main movement, your bench, and you probably do 2 or 3 tricep, bicep exercises, 2 or 3 shoulder exercises. I just take that same workout and divide it over. Like on Monday, I'll just do some kind of, whether we do whatever pressing movement, and then we'll do like maybe some, like if we do an overhead press, we might do push-ups, and then like one of the like the vertical press here, you know, the standing press or whatever. Do those 3 exercises and then we're done.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like, and I was the same thing. Like I thought, like if I was in if gym less than an hour, then I was like, did you actually train?
Yeah.
Like, did I actually get anything done? And then a number of years ago, I bought a couple of the RP programs that they had out there, the Renaissance periodization programs from Israel. And there was a 6-day program and then a 4-day program. And the 6-day program was like a leg focused one. And so there's 3 days that you work legs. But like your leg day is, if it takes you 45 minutes, then like you were going really slow. Because you just show in and you do some work and you do stuff, but you're in 6 days a week. And so you hit different things. And then the 4-day a week one is a really cool split that I like, that Aaron and I have been doing for maybe a couple weeks. And it's a 4-day split. And so you have like your bench day is 3 bench movements or 3 chest movements, and then a couple back movements and some abs. And then you have a quad dominant day where you can do like leg press, squat, something, but you have a couple quad dominant exercises, and then you have a hamstring dominant exercise, calves, and then you're going to do some kind of shoulder workout and then triceps. And then your back is the same as your bench, but flipped, right? You have 3 back, 2 bench, abs. And then you have a hamstring dominant day where you have 3 hamstring movements, a quad movement, some kind of shoulders, and then biceps. And so it kind of splits things up and puts things across.
So you took your 6 days of 45 minutes,
Yeah.
or 4 days at an hour. And
Yeah,
15.
like an hour and stuff. And so you can kind of like move them around. And so that, at least for me, from a training program, when I saw those programs years ago, was kind of like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. It doesn't really, like, you don't have to do your bicep work the same day you do your back work, right? Because I mean, your biceps are involved in your back work. And so like it generally makes sense to. But if you really want to just have like a bicep focused day, like you can throw that in with your leg stuff. And like there's nothing that says you can't. And you're still getting the same amount of volume in, the same kind of work.
See, I like to throw if I was going to do a bodybuilding type thing, I would throw my bicep not on my back day. I throw it on my chest day, because then I would be like, well, if I'm doing chest twice a week, and then bicep, but then I'm doing back twice a week, I'm hitting my biceps literally 4 times.
Exactly it.
2 dead on and 2 as a like secondary.
Yep.
But like once again, you and I were talking, and I asked you, okay, well, let's just say someone came and said, I would give you $10 million if you can add 100 pounds to your squat in 2 months. Like my mentality is, well, I'll be squatting every fucking day for 2 months. Okay, like I don't know if it's going to work, but I know it can't work unless I do. In my head, it won't work unless I do it. I don't know if it can work, but it definitely won't. But you were like, I asked you the same question. You're like, no, I'd squat about the same amount I do now. I just try and increase a little bit more. Like,
Yeah, I mean, some of it is just
I just squat once a week.
some of it's your loading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like your loading and your extra work, and it's all about what you can recover from. Right? I'm sure we've mentioned
It's not
that.
what you can do; it's what you can recover from.
Yeah,
That was
and
always
that's
Ed's thing.
that's the thing. So it's like, and when you, especially when you start getting into these long workouts, and you hear about these people on the Olympia stage who, they're in the gym, an hour, 2 hours, twice a day, something like that. Like, cool, they can get away with that because they're really, really well trained. They understand their body and they're enhanced.
Well, and like I was listening to someone, I can't remember who it was. I did not come up with this, so I'm not taking credit for it. But they're like, there is not really overtraining.
Yeah,
There is under something else.
yeah,
Like you're under fueled.
under-recovered.
You're under refueled for your training, right? You're not eating enough
Yeah.
for your training. You're not sleeping enough for your training. You're not doing your like prehab and stretching or whatever for your training. Like you're under something else.
yep.
I think
and-
isn't that Mike Tushner that said that or whatever?
Is that who it was?
Yeah, but I don't really care about that guy because I think that's all good in theory except for your nervous system. You'll
Well,
never.
like,
Yeah, but it's, I mean,
you can't do anything.
right?
to
And I think
Like your
recover.
deadlift. Yeah.
you can definitely like kind of fry your CNS kind of just
Oh,
maxing out
that
all
is
the time.
definitely yeah.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. I don't think
So you
that's
can-
where I think you run into
Yeah.
overtraining is your
But
nervous system.
most people, I would say most people are not gonna, because you have to you have to be able to go 100%, and you have to be able to go 100% multiple times.
That's what I'm saying. But if you're training like
Yeah.
conjugate for a long period of time, or you do a conjugate training cycle, or you're constantly going at your 90% and above, you're gonna overtrain your nervous
Yeah,
system.
I guess I get annoyed with the like we need a rest day or whatever. It's like, well, if you live in a third world country and you have to walk 2 miles to grab water and carry it back, you know what you don't get to do? You don't get to skip Sunday.
right,
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's also different because when you don't change the load, it's as your body does it, gets easier and easier. Fuck the same mile every single day, it's not as hard. But if every day they had to go and bring back 10 more bricks, they're
in a
gonna
wheelbarrow.
they're gonna get overtrained.
maybe
A wheelbarrow up a hill because it's gonna be uphill one way.
Yeah,
Yes,
but I
Or
mean
maybe
they're
so.
ultimately saying the same thing. But I like Tanner's view of it is like, because if you look at overtraining, then you don't. If you look at yourself at overtraining, you're like, oh, I just need time off. And maybe,
I think just scheduling a down day and
Yeah.
there's how you prevent overtraining.
right, but I think if you look at it as overtraining, then it's like, oh, I'm training too much, and you maybe don't look at the things that could help you, right? Like maybe you're just not getting enough sleep, maybe you're not eating enough, maybe you need to change around some of your macros, maybe you need to train a different time of day, and so there's other things to take into consideration before you kind of just diagnose it.
Yeah,
as
I guess
overtraining.
my annoyance is that you and I have talked about this before. I hate RPE because I don't think anyone knows what a fucking 10 is. Just like I hate the pain scale. Like you go in, like what's your pain scale 1 to 10? Well, honestly, if I can say 10, guess what? It's not a 10.
Right.
Okay, so like if I'm in there and I didn't lose a limb, get shot or stabbed, or like have something protruding from my body,
a four-wheeler.
it's probably under 5. Okay, so like I just don't think that.
Yeah.
So I think most people are like I'm overtrained. I doubt it. Why don't you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, drink some water, and eat some food, and quit eating bullshit, and maybe eat breakfast or do whatever.
And my thing on people overtraining, it's not because you didn't have a good lifting day. That doesn't mean you're overtrained. There are signs to know that you're overtrained. Like I always say, the
You
best
said
one.
grip.
I think the grip, and it's actually a girl that just did her first meet here. She was like, we get to the end of the training cycle, and if you've never done a meet before, and you do like simple strength, it gets hard towards the end. And you've been doing a lot, and she was like her last week of deadlifts. She was just like, dude, I just felt like terrible. Like I felt like I couldn't hold on to the bar. And I just told her like the week before, and I was like, you'll know, because toward the end of the training cycle, it starts to suck. And she was like, yeah, I just felt like I couldn't hold on to the bar, like no matter what I did. And I said, it'll be fine. We're coming up to a down week before the meet. And she felt fine at the meet, had a great meet. But there's real signs, not just like, oh, I'm just not lifting real well, so I'm probably overtrained, which is also like, I can't believe how many fucking kids now like drop out of powerlifting meets because like, well, my training cycle just wasn't going how I wanted it to. Okay, so I thought my knee was fucked up, and Justin Groff told me, you signed up for the meet, you're fucking doing it.
Well, I was going to a strongman competition, and it was like 605 deadlift 4 reps. And I'm in here fucking beating my head, fucking deadlifting like 4 days a fucking week because it's just not moving. Like, I mean, I've been way over, but for whatever that training cycle, like I was having a shitty deadlift cycle. And Mike was like, no, just do like 405 for like 20. 2 weeks out, next week, just don't do anything, you're fine. I'm like, well, I mean, what I'm doing is obviously not fucking working, so we'll give it a go. We'll give it a fucking go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hit 605 for 5. Hadn't hit it one goddamn time for like two or 3 months that I was trying to, and they hit it for 5 at competition. So, like sometimes your training just sucks. Sometimes you're having a bad day. Sometimes you're just in a fucked up mind space.
Yeah, and that's just like the conditioning part, like you were talking about doing the high rep, just blood flow stuff.
Yeah.
But to prevent overtraining, like being in better shape, like we were talking about, like doing different training styles. But there's that old saying, you have to be in shape to train.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you
if it
can't
takes
just be
you
like
10 minutes to recover between sets, like you're fucked.
Yeah, you just can't be like a total fucking waste of space and then be like, I'm gonna train for a meet and you know, and you can train cool for like, but if you want to train to be competitive,
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
like just competitive with like your optimal self.
Well, yeah, like I completely agree with you. Except what I would say is, if you are thinking about starting, just get in shape doing something. Get in shape learning how to powerlift. Like, you know what is better than sitting on your ass and not doing
well,
it.
that's why
Yeah.
why a lot of people like the old like linear progressive overload, because you're building that base, you're doing 10s, you're doing 8s, you're doing whatever, however it's laid out, and you're building your endurance there.
Everyone that does simple strength that I have told to do it, because you know what, the first time I did it, it's like your first numbers. I'm like, well, this is fucking light, so I added to it. You know,
Stupid.
So then I was adding to everything all the way up, and I get to the end. I'm like, fuck. Like I'm like not even I'm not even at the end. I'm like 3 weeks before then. I'm like, oh, that was dumb. Like that was really freaking stupid. Like I have just punished myself for no reason.
Yeah, it'll creep up. The only
Yeah.
time it's kind of weird is if it's someone who's never really doesn't really know their max 100%, kind of does. And then so you're kind of base it off something. Then sometimes the numbers run kind of easy for a little while. But now once
Yeah.
you get somebody's actual max like dialed in,
Yeah, that last week of
So-
5s is
That kid that I told about simple strength last week, he caught me out here. He's like, yeah, I don't know my maxes. I'm like, well, do whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, if you're not comfortable with doing a single, because sometimes doing a single, especially like squat, is probably
hit like a heavy triple or something like that.
hit a heavy triple. There are things in there. There are different things online. You can go to your phone and just calculators,
Yep.
right? Like
But even if you hit a heavy triple, add 10 pounds.
yeah. Or like there's calculators, just throw it in there. This is what I did for 3. And it'll say, well, your 1 rep is approximately this. Is it right? I don't fucking know. But you know what it is? It's closer than what that was.
I've always just said, if you can double something, you can probably add 5 pounds
Yeah.
for the most part. If you can triple it, you can probably add 10. But some of these old school calculators, where it's like, then don't ever believe when they're like, I benched 225 for 10. So it said I can bench 450. Okay. That's all good in
That's
theory.
not real.
That's all good in theory until that person lifts off and you feel 450 in your hands.
right.
And you've never had the weight in your hands. It's like doing walkouts with a squat. just picking up heavy weight and standing there with it, so your body's accustomed to it.
I hit 225 in like mid to high 20 reps. I can't remember what it was, and I can't hit 450. So
I hit 225 for 32.
I was gonna say I think mine was 29 was the
Yeah.
most I've ever done. But
I saw a thing this morning. One of my clients had sent it to me and asked me if I knew if it was real. But they were doing the number of people that can just bench 225 on a regular basis, and they said like looking at the population of was the U.S. the world, it's only like 1 in every 1,000 person can bench 225.
yeah, it's something like that. It's
Does
not,
that include like children? Because then I could buy it.
no, I think it's just adults.
Ugh.
They
Yeah,
don't
I can't
count
remember what
children.
that. I can't remember what that. I'd have to look at the video again. But yeah, and he's like, "Is this right?" And I was like, "I don't know," but because we're kind of numb to it here, because you see like.
We're totally biased to the strong side.
I mean,
like
we have girls.
expectations.
We have girls here that are benching, 150s and up on a regular basis. That,
Well,
are,
like-
that are drug free girls.
Well, I bench 425, 445 ish, close.
You did not.
that one
you
time.
did-
It's
you
like
got
it's like,
crushed.
fucking.
The video's out there on the interwebs.
Ah, goddamn it. So we'll say 444 because that probably would have gone up. But no, like 405, like Lupin and I were talking. It's like around here, it's nothing. Like you see other
Yeah.
people doing it, it's like, that's not impressive. Right. But we get our cut in this world
Right.
of that. Well, it's not impressive. And then you like go out, like you walk out the doors, you know what it is? It's pretty fucking impressive.
Right.
Because not very freaking many people can do it. Like I was doing a deadlift thing the other day and I was like, yeah, I was pretty light. It was like 515 on the bar and then 100 pounds of bands. I was talking with somebody who wasn't from here. Like, I was like, yeah, just didn't feel good. It wasn't that heavy and I should have been better. And it was like, are you fucking psycho? I'm like, oh, let me go talk to my gym friends. They'll understand what I'm talking about. They'll call me a pussy and tell
Right,
me
yeah,
to-
like the expectation of strength that I have for like the general population is way high.
Well, like I just saw your look on your face when I said it. You're like, yeah, why didn't you fucking do it?
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you pussy. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. That's what I needed from him, and he did not give it to me.
Yeah, I mean it's very skewed. Like I remember the first time I saw like 1,000-pound squat, and then like the 40th time I saw 1,000-pound squat in here, and I was like, cool,
Right.
just another here. Let's fucking another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, why'd you do that so shitty? Like, I mean, it's a very skewed reality of it.
I like it though. I don't want to be in that weak reality. I'd rather be in this one.
You don't want to be the strongest lifter at the Y.
No. Or Planet Fitness, man.
I'm saying
Is it pretty sweet though?
That's pretty cool.
I really appreciate you plugging another gym.
If I could get Aaron to come down here regularly in the morning, I would much rather be here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, like 100%. I've tried
You know
to
what?
get
I
her to come
crack
here.
up at all these fucking people. It's like the gym's so far away. I live in fucking Utan. I drive 30 to 45 minutes depending on what fucking center is doing at 7:30 in the morning because sometimes it's a pretty quick drive. Other times I like am already to kill somebody when I get here. And then I drive all the way back out to 180th and center to freaking work. So like
It's a destination. People
It
who
is a
come here want to be here.
100%. Like the training's so much better here, and like the stuff is cooler here.
I mean, we're not 24 hours, but
Now, either's Planet Fitness anymore.
I think it's stupid. I think it's too much risk. I just don't.
Yeah, I think 24 hours. I think 24 hours is dumb. Like if you, I mean,
Totally
here's
stupid.
the only thing. Like if you, like I think there should be some 24-hour gyms out there for people who are weird shift workers. You know what I mean?
But
Like
still,
I'm just saying.
but we close for 7 hours.
Yeah, I'm just there are some
Right.
weird. There are some people who like work like weird shifts. Like they work like a split shift. That's just weird times. Or whatever. That's fine. I mean, I think they have their place just like a 24-hour grocery store has its place.
Yeah,
but
I mean-
Hy-Vee closes now, I think.
I think so. During COVID, I think a lot of them switched.
and they stayed that way.
Yeah.
Like most places can close, but you have a place that's open and to fill that need.
I just wouldn't send my wife to a 24-hour gym after
Fuck no.
dark.
Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, there's always someone here to help you.
I mean, my wife drives a truck, so she can probably handle it. But
yeah, she probably tells people, "I don't let my tanner drive."
I would never let my husband go to a 24-hour gym.
No, she doesn't call you her
just too
husband. She calls
dangerous.
you my tanner.
It's just too dangerous for him.
She's like, husband's such a manly name, so I just call him my tanner.
My partner.
Yeah, my partner, my hetero life mate.
Oh God, you guys are fucking queers.
Yeah, moral of the story is, train a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
especially in your off seasons. You know, if you're doing 2 meets a year, that gives you plenty of off season. You're not going to lose all your strength. You know, I mean, I've trained enough people with off seasons and on seasons, and
It also breaks up the monotony.
yes,
Like even if you don't get like a full 8 to 12 week, whatever, you get 4 to 6 weeks. You just break and then I think whenever I've done it and I get like 4 to 8 weeks, I come back and like, oh, I remember how much I love this. But
Right.
when I left it, when I went to switch,
I
I
was
was like,
ready to leave.
I fucking hate this.
yeah, I've tried to go away from just like max effort lifting, and I never can. It always ends up being something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, and the more advanced you get, you can have shorter training cycles. I mean, my client, anybody who's been around here knows, like Ludi. I've trained Ludi for a few years, and she's an absolute freak of nature and strength.
I don't.
But she got a hold of me.
I don't
like,
get it.
She
I
got a hold of
don't
me like,
understand how, like she's literally pound for pound one of the strongest people I know.
Yeah.
And it's just completely unassuming and has no idea how strong she is.
she got a hold of me like 9 weeks out from a meet. She's like, I want to do this. And I was like, okay. But she's been doing it for a while, obviously. But she did a 9-week training cycle and put 16 pounds on her total. Or no, I'm sorry. She put like 32 pounds on her total.
Those kilos. Like 16 kilos on her total.
No, she last year at this same meet, she missed 315. We forgot her belt. Now she did the meet in May too, but then she squatted 341. Then the one, now she went 130. She weighed in at like 134, I think. Jesus. Then she benched 170, and in May she pulled 380, and she pulled 396 at this meet.
Which is 3 times body weight.
I mean, a 1X plus bench on a female is fucking impressive.
Right.
Yeah. So
How about a 3x deadlift?
Right?
so she took that 9 weeks out. So even in the off season, you can maintain your strength. She
Yeah.
was still doing things to maintain strength.
Yeah.
She jumped in at 9 weeks, and
Yep.
so it's doable. You can change your
Well,
training.
and it was only
still
8
be
weeks of
strong.
lifting because you take the last week off. So.
Yeah, we have like
Yeah.
a down week.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was 9 weeks. However, it worked out. But yeah, it wasn't a full like 12 weeks because most of my training programs I do with people, it's 11 weeks of training with a down week and then go into the meet. But yeah, and that's proof right there. And asking, but you can change it up, and you're still going to be strong. And if you're doing it right, you're going to be strong. And
Yeah. Matt lifts like 1 day a month and he's still strong.
yeah,
That's all you got to do.
yeah. And you know, and I had some people talking to me in the gym this week about people that are shitty coaches, and if I've ever seen any people that are shitty trainers and what I do. And I was like, you know, those people want to train with them. You know, you can't control that. Like, and they were like, well, don't you want to say anything if you see somebody doing something? I'm like,
Not unless they're going to like hurt themselves or damage the
I don't even do that. Well, if they damage the equipment, yeah, I don't care about their bodies. Do some research.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about the common denominator stuff that's out there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
this guy taught me to squat this way, but everyone else in the world is doing it this way. I bet he's right. I bet he's not.
Yeah. No shit.
So yeah, that part, just do some of your own research on that. Like, I'm not going to, because, you know, we talk about the sport specific training sometimes. You might see somebody doing something totally fucking stupid, and it might be something that does something to do with their job, or like they play some sport.
Or
And it's,
yeah. Something very specific to them.
Well, like a lot of wide receivers, like there's really no point to being all the way down in a full squat.
Right. Unless you're going to compete, there's no.
Yeah,
Very little.
but like the more like 3/4 squat is more it translates more to their explosion than going all the way down to be fast. So yeah,
yeah.
you would never do that powerlifting. You saw someone doing powerlifting, you're like, you're not going that far.
People do it all the time.
You're squatting like Ron.
Yeah, but if you're gonna squat, but if you're gonna train with me and you don't have like a specific reason, I'm gonna make you squat the depth because
Right.
full range. Because like you were talking about, if you're afraid if you don't do something you'll lose it, and I think that's everyone's problem is it's not because we're old we're not mobile. It's because we don't do anything to work our mobility. We don't do anything to remain
What'd you call old?
athletic. Well, not you, even though you do masters. But we don't do things like I used to do box jumps all the time, and we hadn't done them forever. And you start doing them, you're like, fuck, they're so hard. But just
scary.
keeping
Okay, did you start redoing them? Because I like thought actually about doing box jumps.
I talked about redoing them. I did them like 1 week, and then I haven't done them.
The box jumps are fine. It's the jump downs. Like
No, see, like
That's actually that's a good.
those are supposed to be better, but those are terrifying.
like
Yeah.
like
Your
I have
absorption.
video of doing a 54-inch box jump, and I did send it to Brett for verification.
It's
Because
probably in the open division.
he didn't believe me. But like the thought of jumping on those metal boxes now, even the ones on the ground, is actually kind of terrifying because I haven't done it for so long.
And I've actually thought about trying to get the foam ones for here now.
Yeah, can you?
Have you ever? Well, you haven't. 'Cause you don't have a truck. Have you ever stood on your tailgate of your truck and thought about just jumping down to the ground?
I did. During softball
I do
season,
now. When my knee was bothering me for a while, I did not.
during softball season, like you jump because we just have the seats in the back, sit in the outfield, watch the game.
Yeah.
Jump down. Like one time I jumped down and I oh my God, what the hell did I just do to my leg?
Right.
I look over and they're like, hey, look a little gimpy there. Like,
Nope.
fuck off.
I mean, when I ordered my truck, I made sure that I got
With the step?
on my truck so I can get in and out. My truck does sit up high.
How many steps?
It's just one.
Okay.
It's one on a ladder.
But I also flashback probably 10 years or a little bit better. When I put the tailgate down, I would have also just hopped up into the truck like a box jump and just jump into the truck.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Like I really want to do that one. Like guy jumps out of the hot tub. I really feel like I could have done that.
Not anymore.
No, not now.
Don't try
Because
to
all
do
I
that.
think is getting curb stomped when your teeth hit the sidewalk.
When UNO had when UNO had their football team, there was a kid there who was standing on the back, like behind a F-150.
Is that when slides when he jumped in the back?
slides and jumped over the tailgate into the back of the truck in slides, like without one.
Was it a lowrider? Was he in South Omaha?
Nope. It was like a normal size F-150 or something. It was like you could just see him standing next to it, and you kind of like, hey, he plays D1 football. I know about. Yeah, jumped right in the back of that and fucking slides.
But yeah.
Well,
So I
should we
think,
go try it?
I think you lose your athleticism
go
when
first.
you don't use it.
Done.
That's true.
I mean, you look at like Ed and like Louis Simmons, those guys. I mean, and obviously Louis trained up until not long before he died.
Right.
I mean, and he was still training at a competitive level. He never one time did a masters meet. Ed obviously had some hip issues, but he didn't run near the equipment. I mean, Louis was very multiply. Ed did not. The equipment, I will give Louis that. He was always right. The equipment. He was that day when I was out at Westside and we were lifting. He's like, "You wear gear?" And I go, "No, not really." He's like, "Well, you wouldn't play football without a helmet, would you?" And I was like, "Nah, I mean, he's kind of got me there."
That was like I was talking shit to the kids about watching people play video games.
Oh, I don't understand how Twitch ever got to be a thing.
All right, but they're like, you watch people golf on TV. You could go golf yourself. I'm like, yeah, fuck off. Like, you got me. But it's also different.
Yeah. I mean, I have looked up trying to beat a game. I do enjoy some video game time, and I have got on YouTube to find out how to beat a certain part before because I can't get Nintendo Power anymore. Kids don't even know about Nintendo Power.
No, freaking cheat codes.
Yeah.
I love cheat codes.
But yeah, the overall message of the day is just train all different ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and like
Whatever
I
you're
said,
doing, just if you're grinding yourself down, just switch it up and do something else for a little bit. It doesn't have to be forever. Just 4, 6, 8 weeks.
And be honest with yourself, like we talk about squat it, but training that full range of motion will keep mobility and flexibility in your life. And do athletic movements. You know, like Matt said, even if it's a box jump and you don't want to jump down, set up another box to step down to. Like, you know, and you don't have to jump for max height. You can just jump there's a 6-inch box if that's all you can
That's
do.
what I'm going to start with next week. I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, just keep yourself. It's kind of like I always get this weird concern about my dad. He has like no hobbies, you know. And I always have this thing when you just sit around, you're waiting to die. You need something to do in your life.
Yep.
Now my dad does do things, but
Yeah.
and that's just with lifting. It's the same idea. You have to be doing something to maintain what you have and improve it,
Well, we're just waiting to die.
or you're just waiting to die.
Yeah.
You know, and no one wants to die.
Not yet.
Yeah. So take that for what you guys will. It was actually weirdly knowledgeable considering we didn't know what we were going to talk about for a little bit.
Oh, you should have heard the conversation leading up to this one.
Yeah, it was really something special. Let me tell you.
It was pretty good.
Me and Matt were talking about aliens and ancient civilizations, and Brett looked at us like we were a bunch of fucking idiots.
I'm not saying either one is right or wrong. I was just listening.
He did agree that we were both morons.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay though.
Yeah.
And I guess I almost forgot our show partners. Elite Nutrition Omaha, EliteNutritionOmaha.com. Use B3 at checkout. 10% off. Go in the store, yell B3 extra loud when Steve's working, and
Get a shaker.
get a free shaker. Even though I will say one of the shakers leaked all over my floor in here and somebody had to mop it up the other
That's
day.
because dipshit couldn't fucking press the button down. That was Kyle's fault. Kyle needs to
Who
like.
doesn't close their shaker lid when they set
It's
it down?
his fault. He's like it didn't click. I'm like, press it down.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just got to put a little muscle into
Not like
it.
an
bud.
automatic door.
Like
to close it.
I bet you Kyle would have handed me the pickle jar to open it though. You know what I mean? So
Also, Rosewood Block. They make the best cutting boards in the barbecue game. Hopefully, we'll have ours here maybe in the next week or so we can get a good little video for everybody out there. It looks pretty sweet. Check them out, rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout. And please like, subscribe, follow the show. We're on the YouTubes. Set us up for auto download because that's what we keep track of. That's what they let us know about is the auto downloads. And we'll see you guys next time.